Have you got a Range Rover Evoque and do your internal lights do this? There you go, look. I didn't touch the actual glass. It's there you go. Look, it's playing up now. Look, if I press and hold that light, watch it flash. Oh, now that indicates that it will come on automatically because it says it on your dashboard. There we go, interior lights automatic. So it'll come on as the door opens. And if you press and hold it again, you can turn them off so they're not automatic. There's a little flashing indication. And on the dashboard, it says interior lights are now off. But if you have a look at my previous video, almost to the month, I fixed the issue and I found that as the winter and the colder weather comes in, I started getting this problem. Get yourself a nice little pry tool, and it's usually quite stiff the first time you do it. But you want to try and get in here and just get behind that panel. There's a couple of quite strong clips. I've taken this off before, so I know it's going to be a little bit easier to remove, but first time you do it, it's quite stiff. There we go. So do one side and then the other. Now on the top here, as I took that out there, look, it came on. There's these connections on these bulbs which are causing me the problem. And it's these little guys here. And on the little contacts of the bulb, they have a little round dome. And in Range Rover's wisdom, they probably did that there to get a nice, strong contact. But in reality, what I find happens is you got less of a surface area. And what you want to try and do is actually broaden that area and get rid of that stupid round dome, because over time, it doesn't have the same contact. And as I said, when the weather gets colder, these metal contacts on the inside of the light here, it doesn't make a very good contact with the bulb. So I'm going to get my soldering iron out and I'm going to put just a little bit of solder on there to get a nice big fat footprint. Now, if you haven't got a soldering iron, you can actually just take a file and carefully file that down. Now normally I would take this into the garage and then work on the bench, but today's sponsor has actually provided me with an excellent battery powered soldering iron, and I'm going to use it today. It's 7 degrees and it's certainly not the best of weathers to be soldering in, because especially if I'm outside and the wind's blowing, it's really difficult to get heat into the soldering iron. So I'm going to be using this soldering toolkit here, and it comes with 15 essential soldering items as well. Comes in this lovely little carry case here, and I love the way this all folds out. It's got everything that you need: wire strippers, side cutters, little tweezers, little safety specs in there. And here's the main event. This is a professional battery powered soldering iron. I've never seen anything like it. I've got handheld ones that you have to sort of charge up, and they're only good for a couple of uses. This thing, even in 7 degrees, is going to give you that important heat that you need. So here you can see now that this pad here is now a broader area, and it's going to help the fact that the solder is a little bit softer as well. Now I'm going to be honest with you, let me tell you exactly what happened. The company iFixit sent me this lovely little kit, and they said, just feel free to use it, and if you find it useful, tell us what you think. And that's exactly what's happened today. Genuinely, I've had a problem with my Range Rover lights, and I've used this to rectify it. But in using this today, I can tell you wholeheartedly that this is a quality product. I know a fair bit about soldering. I'm an engineer to trade, and I generally use things like these here, where I've got to unplug all of this, run an extension cable down to the car. But it's really awkward, especially when I've got to work outside and things. This, by iFixit, is completely portable. Not only that, you've got a temperature display on the front where you can adjust the heat of the tip. Let me show you just how fast this heats up. And that's one of the key things, is that whenever I'm working, I want it to heat up quick. I hate having to wait around. If the wind's blowing, it gets cold. You set the temperature, just set it at, say, 390 degrees. That's a nice soldering temperature, especially on a cold day. Now this is cold, look, there's nothing on it. I flick it on. Let's get some solder out and let's see how quickly this heats up. Right, that's now on. Let's have a look. Look at that. I've been talking for what, 10 seconds? and it's already at temperature. That is brilliant. So the type of soldering irons I used to use are these little things. It's a battery power soldering iron. You might get maybe 2 or 3 goes, but it never really got hot enough. This soldering iron by iFixit totally changes the game. This is as good as a plug-in mains power soldering iron. It really is. This is an amazing product. And I know this is good, and I can testify behind it because I actually did the soldering on the B&W 7 Series oil pressure sensor when I worked out in the Czech Republic. It actually gives you some lovely little visual understanding of how to preheat the surface. Absolutely, that is so important. Get the items that you're soldering hot first, then apply the solder. Never take broken for an answer. So I give you this lovely little heat pad as well. And this is what I'm saying. If you place the soldering iron on the item that you're soldering first, get that warm, then bring the solder to it, rather than just cold solder straight onto the tip. Hold it there, let it flow, give it a little move. There we go. And then once you finish repairing all your stuff, I love the way you can just fold this away, all rolled up, everything you need, fully charged, ready to go, and take it to the next job. Excellent. So all of these little metal tabs now have a nice layer of soldering over it. What I notice, if you actually look closely, there are little indentations, and that's where the old bulb, the little nipple, was actually digging into the contact at the back of the PCB. But now we've got the solder on it, it's going to act as a bigger footprint. Also, the solder's a little bit softer, so it's going to make a better contact. So put them in and give them a twist. And now that we've got that level of solder on there, it's also going to be a little bit more of a firm connection because it's a little bit fatter. Right, let's connect up the light. And I'm glad I got this done because in the winter time when you're driving along and these things were coming on by themselves, this is my wife's car and she said it was quite dangerous, so I'm glad I got this resolved once and for all now. So I push the back in first and then just push it and clip it in. And now you should find, if I turn all these off, this turn off the middle one, open the door. Now before that used to flicker on, flicker off, and if I pushed it in and around here, sometimes these ones might come on, and if I give it a bang and all the rest, as you saw in my previous video. But do please give that a go. It's a design fault, I believe, from Range Rover. They thought they're in their wisdom were being clever by having a little sort of nipple which then made a contact with the metal part of the PCB. But actually I have these bulbs in my Mercedes and they don't have that. They just have a flat plate. It's a bigger surface area, and that's why I was doing the soldering, because I've basically replicated what I know works in my Mercedes. So thank you to iFixit once again. There is a link down below for you, and if with a bit of luck, by the time you watch this video there might be some discount codes as well. But most importantly, my wife's going to be happy that she's not going to get flickering lights in her car. If you like this sort of thing, my name's Grooveon. Have a little think about subscribing, and there's some playlists at the end for you. I'll see you on the next one.